Get groceries delivered to your door in as fast as an hour with Instacart. They handpick fresh groceries from your local store and let you shop multiple stores in a single order. Use our link to get free delivery on your first order over $35. Just visit cart.simpsonsiblings.com or check out the link in the description.
Hey everybody, this is Sari.
And this is Sean.
And we're the Simpsons siblings. And that's what we talk about as the Simpsons.
All the time.
All the time. I'm going to word that slightly different just to confuse Sean.
And use some of the words that I already used just to mess me up.
Just to, keep you on your toes. What was it that John Mulaney would say? Throw them off their game. Or
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what it was. Okay, well, we are talking today about Three Men in a Comic Book, Season 2, Episode 21, originally aired May 9th, 1991. I was just slightly over 1 year old.
Which is weird to think that this show has been around so long, but I do like these older episodes.
Oh, yeah. The funny thing about this one is I remember seeing this one a lot as a kid. Like, this one stuck with me a lot when I was a kid. Especially the ending, but a lot of the stuff in the middle I didn't remember. It was just kind of the concept and the ending that I really remembered. So this is a good one to revisit. So it was written by Jeff Martin, directed by Wes M. Archer, and we got the guest stars Cloris Leachman, who was really famous back in the day, and Daniel Stern reprising his narrator role from the Wonder Years.
And then we open with the chalkboard scene that says, "I will not show off," in a very nice fancy font on the chalkboard.
Mm-hmm. That's cute.
And then we go through the longer intro, which I always like an episode that has the long, full intro.
Oh, yeah.
And then they go to the couch gag where they all jump on the couch, it falls backwards, and then Maggie pops up.
Oh, she's so cute here. I love a good Maggie moment. And it's weird because I noticed the intro music is more like the season 1 intro, where like the notes are a little off. There's something a little different about it. But it does have that, God, I can't call it modern era intro because it's not, but that intro they used for a long time from seasons 1 or seasons 2 to whatevs. So it's got that mixture of the old music from season 1 and the intro that goes for most of the era before the HD episodes, which is a little weird, but yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Having watched this all my life,
Yeah,
I get that.
that weird stylistic in between in season 2. Yeah. So, well, let's get into the episode. Real quick, I'm just now noticing, I used to always think this was Three Great Men in a Comic Book. And I literally, the misnomer went so far that I named this file Three Great Men.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so it's probably a Mandela effect. Some alternate universe it's called that. But we start out with the whole Casper Richie Rich debacle.
Great way to start an episode.
And this seems like the kind of weird over-analysis that me and you would do.
Yeah, like you see a slight connection between two things and then you try to overdevelop the story.
And it's absolutely not what the original creators of said product were intending, but you like to give it that extra lore.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, and then we get that great line from Marge. Kids, can you lighten up?
And while they're talking, Bart does that wonderful mouth twist thing.
Yes, give me that mouth twist.
I don't know what else to call it.
There's a couple different names for it, but I think a lot of people call it mouth twist. I always remember it from when he's the vampire in that one Treehouse of Horror, and he's floating out the window.
Yeah.
He does a real big one. Yeah, we got that. Oh man, them going to the comic convention. I miss the Comic-Con we would go to, the Phoenix Comic-Con. It's supposed to be happening again in January. I want to show off my Captain Crunch cosplay.
Yes. Is it cosplay if you're doing a cereal mascot?
Well, I mean, I am pretending to be the cereal mascot, because the whole thing is it's a costume, and, like, you're play acting, like you're acting like the character, I will be providing marshmallowy goodness to every person that needs it.
We're cool.
We're cool. Oh yeah, because isn't it costume and role play? So if you're playing a role and you're in costume, it's cosplay.
There you go.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to say.
Well, this wraps up our episode for today.
Oh, dear God. Okay, let's get back to the episode. We got, it's early Simpsons when Bartman makes an appearance.
Yeah, because he comes up quite a bit and then just stops.
He just disappears. I know there's like a season 8 or 9 episode where they talk about like fads that disappear, and he does like the Bartman on the bus. And everyone's like, that's so 1990 something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they acknowledge that it was kind of something that faded out to obscurity.
The guy at the ticket booth, I have no idea who you are.
Oh, man. Man, the mayor... In the beginning, the mayor just gives a speech at any little event that happens.
Yeah, just always trying to make potential voters happy.
Oh, yeah, that's the angle he's coming from. And he mentions that it will bring $300 into the local economy.
Yes.
So that makes me think either they're not being very successful, or he's taking like a huge chunk of that.
I think it's just that these kind of events have grown over time.
Yeah, I guess so.
Back when this came out, they even portrayed in here, it's like all the kids running around, and it's not really a big popular event, where nowadays they're huge and take up whole convention centers and go for like 4 days in a row.
Yeah. That's very true. I didn't think about that. I love that he calls him Radiation Man.
You may say, I feel like Radiation Man. he sounds so proud to be like using the name.
Yep, and that reminds me of just the previous episode that we covered, Marge versus the Monorail, where he completely gets Leonard Nimoy wrong.
Yes.
Weren't you one of the little rascals? Also, on that note, why are Martin's Vulcan ears green?
Yeah, I noticed that. I didn't like it.
You're like, I didn't like that.
It's like, well, we have 3 tricorders.
Yeah. Oh man, we could absolutely do Star Trek siblings, but
we've got enough episodes here to cover.
I mean, yeah, if we ever somehow run out of Simpsons, then I guess we'll get to that somewhere down the road.
Maybe when we're in our 60s, we can
we'll
switch
do
to that.
Tune in. Oh, God. So, we've got Busman, which is Otto's comic.
Yeah,
And he is absolutely huge on that comic book cover, and it's something that happens.
I noticed he's a school bus driver by day, post-apocalyptic guy by night. It's like, does the world just flip from kids going to school to end of the world and then back to normal in the morning?
And then back to going to school. Maybe it's in another alternate universe or something. I don't know. It's Otto. He was probably on, like, something.
Yeah.
When he was thinking of that. Oh. So we see them, they go to see the old Fallout Boy from the old movies. And we see the Radioactive Man sort of cigarette tie-in.
Which is funny. The whole sponsored by Laramie cigarettes. Like, I don't even think as a joke they could make that scene today, could they?
I know. And my daughter was watching it with me. And I was kind of thinking, like, I know this is a joke, but does she know this is a joke? And I kind of, like, had to say a little something like, oh, that's so funny because it's so not true. And she was like, yeah, I know, Mom. But yeah, it's, oh man, but that's really how, like, people thought way, way back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, oh, cigarettes are fine. But dang.
They're good for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because when they were talking about going to see the old Fall Out Boy from the 60s, I thought, oh, this is going to be a really old man. Because I was thinking about it, like, from this. And I was like, well, okay, if this is someone who is, like, in their 20s in the 60s, they're going to be pretty old. But this was the 90s.
I was hit with that, 60s.
Too. Yeah. So, because usually if you see anyone from... I got to see Adam West once at a Comic-Con, and he was pretty old. But he's since passed away.
Yeah.
But, they've got all these awkward questions they're asking him, which absolutely happens.
I love Bart's technical question, and he's like, I am sure that I don't know.
and they always want to talk about the other projects that they're doing. You kind of feel bad for them, because like this is a person that's doing like all these cool things now that they're really interested in. Like he said he was going to play. And they're like, no, we just want to talk about this old thing that you did once. Oh, man. It's like they don't see them as the person. They see them as the character.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you go to those things. Oh, man. Comic book guy's voice is so different. It's kind of more nasally.
Yeah,
it's
it is.
Higher pitched. Is that Hank Azaria?
I'm not sure.
I have my super fancy Simpsons book in front of me. It does not say it on this page, and I don't know if I want to do an ASMR page turning right now. I'm going to say it's Hank Azaria. Generally, if it's a Simpsons character and you say Hank Azaria, you got like a 7 out of 10 chance of being right.
We can just dub over it later. I think for now we can just say it's Mr. Black.
Yes, Mr. Black. Okay, this is where we get the whole big plot of the episode, where he shows them the #1 Radioactive Man comic.
Yeah.
And even back then, $100 for a #1 comic seems low.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it, didn't a #1 Spider-Man sell for like $200,000 or something?
Yeah.
I
think it's more of a plot mechanic that makes it expensive and hard to reach, but it's not an unobtainable goal for 3 elementary school students.
I'm analyzing this like I was in the audience for Fall Out Boy's interview.
Well, next time we see them at a convention, we can ask them all these technical questions.
Yes. A wizard did it. So obviously Bart can't afford that. And that's something that's going to follow him through the whole episode. And we get a weird... So we're in the car with the family, and Lisa says she gets a bunch of Lois Lane comics, and Homer goes on this huge tirade about Wonder Woman. Like, he just keeps going.
And then he's like, I'm just joking.
Oh, Homer. So Bart asks to borrow $100 for the comic, which he already has $30.
Yeah.
Why does he need a whole $100?
Stop by Krusty Burger on the way.
Yeah. And then we get the please dad, which reminds me of, can you take us to Mount Splashmore, or can we have a pool, Dad?
We also get $100 for a comic book. Who drew it? Michael Michelangelo?
Michael Michelangelo? Oh, Homer.
Well, then after that, when he said no, he said, well, T.S. And my first thought is tethered swimming. From the gym episode.
If you come in late, it's going to be T.S. for you. Oh, I didn't think about that one a while. That's not one that I see too often. Isn't that when Bart ends up going into ballet?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because he shows up late.
Yeah, oh my God. T.S. for you. Oh, man. Oh, we got this Marge flashback. And it's funny because at the beginning, I was thinking, that's not Patty and Selma's voices even for flashback. But they explain why the voices are different.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. We'll pick up smoking cigarettes. Which I almost wonder, like, that scene almost makes up for the earlier cigarette scene. Because that's kind of showing, like, yeah, you might not want to do this.
And we see when it goes back to them sitting at the table at Krusty Burger, there's one thing, they don't do it a lot, but I really like when they do, when they have the passive background Maggie animations. Like, she's just sitting there smashing a French fry on the table, just to give her, like, activity and motion.
I didn't notice that. I actually want to go back and see that, because I love me some Maggie moments.
Another thing I noticed when they're at the table, which I'm surprised I didn't notice it before, depending on the camera angle, or animation angle, whatever, there's, like, a creepy employee in the background that has, like, grease stains on his shirt, and he's just staring at the family.
Ooh.
And it's such, like, I never noticed it before, but when you notice it, you're like, okay, this is going to be, like, a weird joke or something. They're going to tie into this somehow. And I wonder if maybe they did set that up for, like, a small background joke, and then they decided to cut it out, but didn't want to redo the animation, or...
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe he's going to stalk us all in our nightmares now.
It was just a very, like, specifically put there thing.
Yeah. It was there on purpose at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So I haven't watched a lot of Wonder Years, but I know this gag is calling back to Wonder Years, and it has the same voice for the narrator. I still love this gag so dang much. Just like the look on his face.
The camera slowly panning out.
Bart. Oh my gosh, that's one that I bring up a lot with Frankie. We just, Bart, you didn't know it. And I didn't know it. It's just, he's having so many complex thoughts and emotions going through his head, and Homer's just like, what the heck are you doing, kid?
Yep.
Oh, okay, so here we have, I was trying to understand my writing here. All I wrote was, Americanize this, my good man. This was when Bart's trying to, like, get his money together, because that was where the whole Wonder Years thing came from, was that he was told to get a job if he wanted to buy this comic. So Bart's trying to do little things to get money, and one of the things was breaking a frame that has all these old coins in it, and he just goes and says, Americanize this, my good man, and he gets like 3 cents.
Now I wonder if, like, selling the coin for their, like, collector's value would have been better than just their currency exchange rate value.
Yeah. I don't think Bart was thinking that far into this. And then Bart tries to sell lemonade. Mm-hmm. And I love Lisa's little, almost sort of an advertising strategy to kind of make it look more kooky and cute. But then Bart goes and switches to selling beer.
I love this part.
For 5 cents a can, even with, inflation and how prices were in the 90s, he's definitely not making back what those were originally paid for.
Yeah.
By Homer.
But he didn't pay for them.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. He didn't pay for them. Oh.
And then we have the whole bribing of the cops with the free
God.
beer. And then they just throw the cans in the street when they're done.
Oh, my God. Springfield cops. And Homer's just like absolute devastation at what's happening.
Oh, it's like somebody died.
Oh my God. Of course. So Bart gets sent to an old lady's house. The setup for this is super fast. It's basically just Marge talks to someone at a salon, and then Bart gets sent over. And she offers him a whole bunch of different kinds of food and candy, and one of them was sauerkraut candy.
Yeah. Boys love candy.
No, I'm okay. Boys love candy. The grenade scene is kind of much.
Yeah, that doesn't add to the story at all in any way.
And it's just kind of dark, and afterwards you're like, oh, okay. And she also said that she called it the Great War. That means World War One, right?
Yeah.
Holy crap. But of course this was the 90s, so if you were really old in the 90s, you would have experienced that time.
Yeah.
Wow. And I can't I'm not sure if I wrote this right, but she's watching her soap operas.
Yes.
And she's like, this is filthy. But arousing?
Okay, so I wrote this down because I just felt like it needed to be stated. She's like filthy, but genuinely arousing.
She just kind of...
She just stays in her rocker chair.
She's a sweet little old lady just watching these raunchy soap operas. They did give her a good amount of personality, even though she doesn't really show up much ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Bart gets hurt, and she uses was it iodine?
Iodine.
Oh God. And Marge asks, I can't remember if it was Marge, Lisa, or Bart asks, did you make any money yet? And Bart goes, no, but at least I'm in a lot of pain. And there's the shadows on one of the iodine scenes.
That was creepy.
Yeah. It's actually and I've got my nifty Simpsons Complete Guide to Our Favorite Family book that I got at Goodwill for $2. And it says that this is a reference to Gone with the Wind. Yep.
Cool.
Nice. Which you can find at your local library. Or at a Goodwill. So... It's funny because, something little that I liked about when Bart's kind of waiting for the old lady to get his money, he's got his hands behind his back, and he's being generally really polite.
Yeah.
And really, at least for the first at least for the middle half of this, he really is doing great. He's working hard. He's trying to make money. He's just doing it in his Bart way. But he is generally working hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might grumble a bit, but it's all to himself.
Yeah, yeah. And then after all that, he gets 2 quarters for all his work.
Love the interaction there.
Yep. Off to spend it on penny whistles and moon pie. Moon pie.
What a great time to be alive.
Yes. And he even interacts with Homer, and he says, well, back then that was a lot of money. Really? Nah. So Bart goes back to the comic book shop to look at the comic. And something I noticed is, didn't comic book guy say that the $100 was a special deal just for him?
He probably said that just to butter him up.
Oh, okay. Because then at the window it says $100.
Because he was because you remind me of me when I was younger, or something like that. Just a very generic statement.
That kind of, that makes sense. That he would say that he's getting a deal just to seal it. And it turns out that Martin wants it, and then Millhouse doesn't even want it. He says later in the episode, he's there to get the baseball card with sideburns.
Yes.
Which then again reminds me of the baseball episode where he's trim your sideburns. And he's shaved all the way up. Oh, man.
And then there's the back and forth where Bart's still trying to buy it for $30, and comic book guy says, I don't need this. I've got a master's degree in folklore mythology. Not to discredit that, because if you had that, you could probably get a really good job with that. But
yeah,
he's using that towards a comic book store.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. Well, and there's a lot of articles about how comics are almost like modern mythology.
Yeah.
That we kind of think of them that way. But I thought that was just an interesting tidbit, getting a little bit more background into his character.
Yeah.
So they decide to put their money together, even Millhouse, which he doesn't even really want it. And it's funny because $100 seems like so much when you're a kid. It's still a lot when you're a grown-up, but as a kid, it's a monstrous amount of money.
Yeah.
$100 as a kid feels like $1,000 as an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when Millhouse, when they're deciding to pull their money together, and comic book guy goes back to get the baseball card, and Millhouse's reaction, I don't want it anymore.
He's freaking kids. And he very specifically said, like, I'm only going to get up if you're definitely going to buy this.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny, the three of them reading the comic in the treehouse. And they were like, oh, so that's how it happened and stuff like that. Before the internet, you wouldn't really know the origin story for something like that unless you read it.
Yeah. Or knew someone who had read it who told a friend, and then you can't trust the information.
Exactly. And here is my favorite fun fact of the episode, which I got from this book. When Radioactive Man in the comics, after he becomes radioactive, he now has 5 fingers.
Oh, a mutation.
Yep.
I think it's funny that it took so much story building and work and background to get to the point of them having the comic book, that the actual ownership of it is now going to be just a relatively short span of the episode.
Yeah, I wrote that down too. It's like 6 minutes is about how long it takes. And it's really the episode, most of the episode isn't even about the comic book. It's about Bart working.
Yeah.
Like, you could have called this Bart working. And, I mean, it would be lame, but it would make sense. But I feel like a lot of really older Simpsons episodes are kind of like this. Like, I rewatched Homer's Odyssey recently, and that episode pivots so many times, and it's just really weird. But that's how a lot of these really old ones are laid out. Martin has a pretty well thought out idea for rotating the comic ownership.
I disagree.
Yeah? I mean, well, in theory, it's a good idea, but it's going to be a pain in the butt.
Well, with the whole, because there's 3 of them and 7 days in a week. And then for that odd day, they come up with a way of doing a decimal, but you've got that last decimal, and then if that doesn't round out, then it's just a whole chain. Like, I feel like there's a better way to do it.
Maybe just, like, rotate, like, once, like, one person gets a week.
Or just say...
And then the next person gets the next week.
Yeah, or just say every 3 days we switch.
Yeah,
instead
I guess
of this,
that would
and
be...
if it falls on a Sunday, a month that has 31 days, and it's a full moon...
Oh my gosh. Martin really wants to be the leader here, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't take leadership roles often, but when he does, he really asserts himself.
Oh, yeah. And I like that Millhouse just sort of doesn't like any of the answers. Like, wait a minute. Just poking holes in the whole thing.
It's amazing how quickly their trust crumbles, too.
Oh, it happens fast. And they get into this big fight, and Marge comes in. I thought you boys might like milk and microwave s'mores. That kind of reminds me of Summer of 4 2, when she has the girl, Lisa has the friend over, and she's like, well, at least your mom isn't lame and is coming in with Tang, and she, like, walks and then immediately turns around.
And you hear, like, the ice jiggle as she turns.
Oh, I always feel so bad for her there. And, like, her expression is, like, unfazed.
Yeah.
Also, microwave s'mores, that's kind of genius. I don't know why I never thought of that. Would that work? I mean, I don't see why not.
I don't know.
We need to test this. That'll be our next Patreon video. It's just microwaving s'mores. And
all from this one little random thought that we had on the podcast.
Just be a camera set up in front of the microwave. And then we're not going to show us eating it or anything. It's just going to end.
Record in slow motion.
Yeah. Ooh, that actually sounds pretty good. So Martin gets tied up, which... The process for that... Like they would have had to hold him down. They would have had to get the chair up into the treehouse.
Yeah.
They would have had to find rope. Oh, and then we get maybe my favorite scene of the whole episode, which is when it's storming out and Marge is yelling to Homer, can you go check on the kids? And it's lightning, and you can just barely kind of see them obviously fighting in the lightning. And he just goes, they're fine.
And lightning, like, hits the tree.
Yeah.
Now, that was that little rumpus room, right? That
yeah,
we barely see.
The rumpus room! Oh, I highly suggest the Real Jim's video on the Simpsons house layout, because...
Yeah.
Oh, that mysterious rumpus room. And then we get a very good, like, sort of poetic ending to the episode, where we have Bart literally having to choose between Millhouse and the comic.
Yeah.
Because he has fallen out of the treehouse, and he's holding on to him, and he can't reach the comic book. And as Martin mentioned several times, he would be able to get it if he wasn't tied up.
He has a way of saying it that they both just want to slap him.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you're right,
but tied me up.
Oh man, and of course Bart makes the right choice. He chooses Millhouse, and the comic just gets completely obliterated. And yeah, that's sort of the huge conflict. And this scene seemed so much longer when I was a kid. This was like the big finale when I was a kid. And now it's over so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Marge's raincoat's pretty cool.
It is. It must be custom made for that hair.
Oh, it would have to be. It has a huge hood on it. So of course the rain passes like relatively shortly after all that. And I really like there's like a nice blue shading on their last sort of little conversation.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote down... I don't remember seeing, like, this coloring in the environment. Because usually in the morning, like, if it's morning on The Simpsons, it's probably like 8 o'clock. The sun's already up. But this was a very much, like, the sun was low in the sky, casting some shadows. It had those sunrise colors. And I really liked it. It just felt different.
Yeah. And I love that last shot in the bird's nest. That last frame gets put into the bird's nest. The bird has no idea how much this thing's worth. It's just gone back to nature.
And the conversation with the kids, seems like they're going to be building up to a lesson about sharing and appreciating friendship. Mm-hmm. And nope. Gets shut down. Nobody learned a thing.
Isn't there a line at the end of one of the... I think it's like season 8 or 9 when Homer turns to Marge. He's like, Marge, I haven't learned a thing.
Everybody just sighs.
It's like in a very reassuring tone, but that's exactly pretty much the end of this episode, what it's conveying.
Reset back to normal for the next episode.
Yep, here we go, back to 1. That's how it works. Yep. So I forgot how many fun moments were in this, like in the middle of it, just him working and stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely one that's about the journey.
Yeah, because I always remembered that ending that stuck with me, but the rest of the episode kind of didn't when I was a kid. And now as an adult, the middle of the episode sticks with me more than the end.
Yeah.
But it's a good one. I feel like this is very much like a middle of the road Simpsons. Like, I don't know anyone that this is their favorite episode. I'm sure someone's out there that this is their absolute favorite episode, but it's good.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, definitely. And I enjoyed going back to it. Every once in a while, we like picking episodes that we don't remember very well, but that we know-ish, and this is one of those, and I'm glad we covered it.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's one that it's not crucial to knowing the history of The Simpsons, but you just kind of need it in your background.
It's a good one. And especially, I feel like this is one when I go to rewatch, this is one that I may like skip over or like sort of forget about, and it's still a good one. It's a good one to go back and watch still, especially if you haven't seen it in a long time. Real quick, I want to thank Twitter user Shame, spelled XAME, who won the drawing contest for my Radioactive Man art. Thank you so much. And if you are interested in winning a piece of Simpsons hand-drawn fan art, check out our Twitter at Simpsons Sibs, all one word. And we're also on Patreon, and we're at www.patreon.com/SimpsonsSibs.
And we'll have all the links in the description too.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Next time, we are going to have a random number generated episode. So I used a random number generator and put in numbers 1 through, God, it's like 700 something now. So I put that in, and it generated the number that ended up being season 14, episode 20, Break My Wife Please, which I don't remember anything about this one.
I can't remember. I'm looking at the little thumbnail on there, and I don't know.
Yeah, which makes it a perfect episode to just jump right into. We may have never seen this one. It may be terrible. This is going to be great.
It'll be fun, though.
It'll be fun. So, yeah, definitely watch that episode before you listen to get the full experience. And we'll be back next week with this episode. Quick shout out to Timothy Burleson. Thanks for being a patron.
Woohoo! Thank you.
And until next time.
Bye everybody.